This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
No.
All right, guys. Have a good show.
Okay.
Bokey
Thank you,
dokey.
Mike. Whoa, I feel like Saw mixed with what's that other movie with the that we recorded the game room. It's like what?
Escape room?
Escape room. Yeah, when he shut those, I felt like this place was about to just start filling up with water or something. Ah.
We're in here. We're dying.
Hello.
We have to work together, Josh.
We do
We gotta
to
figure
escape.
out the code.
One of these panels, there's a code behind it. Behind each panel, there's a number.
Let's check the bottom of all those jars. Candles that look the same.
It's going to be, it was this that was in front of us the whole time.
Maybe we need to stack the candles in a certain way to unlock the door.
I can see that.
Yes.
Also, I always want to touch that and like poke it.
The ceiling?
Yeah, because it looks like it would like sponge, but apparently it's really hard.
Oh.
Yeah.
I would like to touch it as well. BooBaes.
BooBaes. Hi.
Hello and welcome to
BooBaes.
BooBaes. That's right. We're your hosts.
I'm Joshua.
And I'm Caitlin. And today we're here to talk to you about a new spin on a classic.
Yes. Your biggest fear.
Clowns. It.
All of the above.
All of the above. I will say this was a pretty... It's not often that I get unsettled with my dolls and clowns in my house. But I do have a bunch. Most of my clowns are upstairs in my bedroom. And it was a little like... Don't look at them. Don't look at them. Don't look at them. As I was going to bed last night.
They're being inspired by Pennywise right now.
I was like, oh God, one of them's going to come to life and start dancing. Or like whenever Richie's in that room.
Oh, yeah. With all the other
with all the clowns and, then
toy clowns.
The one of them just turns its head.
It's pretty freaky.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, I swear to God, if one of these motherfuckers moves their head right now, I'm going to lose my shit.
Even if one just accidentally, like the wind, like...
Yeah,
that's enough.
Knocked it over. Also, wind in my house would be pretty
spooky, pretty supernatural. It could come from the AC duct. I don't know. I was thinking like a strong draft or one of the kitties. Like you don't see the kitty and she just
zooms on by. Yeah, Suki would do that.
It'd be like that TikTok of the car that goes by, and it's like I don't remember what song, but it's. Do you know what I'm talking about? No, I'll have to show you.
My TikTok, I spent like 2 hours the other day trying to configure my
for you
algorithm.
Page?
And for you page. And it's just not working.
It's not
it
algorithming.
Keeps only showing me the I'm a great fuck, but a better lover.
I don't even know what that is.
The Hello Christ.
Oh yeah. I'm about to sin again. Yes,
yeah.
Gotcha. Well, I mean that's also just taking off and blowing up everywhere.
Yeah, but that's like all it shows me. And then it'll occasionally have like people I follow, and I'm like, I'm not on my following tab. I don't want to see the people that I follow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I want to see the rest of the world.
People.
Yeah. People I do not know.
Yes.
Funny content, good content, informative content.
Then it's just none of it is really getting me. And I
don't know who goes
configuring it.
Who goes on TikTok to follow like the people that they actually know. Like it's like usually...
I like follow those people, but I don't care to actually watch what they post.
That's why there's the two separate tabs for it. But yes,
my Instagram algorithm is better configured.
The algorithms in itself should be a horror movie. Someone needs to make a horror movie about that.
The algorithm.
And
then what if there's this bug in the algorithm and it's this TikTok that's cursed that comes up and then it gets in everyone's algorithm.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden that's all they can see is just that. And then the monster's getting closer and closer and closer and closer to the screen each time you swipe
I feel like that should happen right in the middle of the movie.
Yeah.
Not in like to everybody, but like to one specific scene.
And then it comes out through the TV.
Very Samara 2023 or 25, whenever this does come out. directed by Caitlin and Josh.
I imagine
Ooh.
it has a little sucker face that just comes out and it
That gave
with
like
the
frog.
teeth, like it
Oh,
with those teeth,
opening wide.
and then just clatching onto the face, but
Ooh.
with bigger lips that like suck around the whole face.
It gives Victory Bell from Pokemon.
Yes, that is exactly what I would
attacking James.
Yeah.
Yes, and all of that to lead into Derry, Maine specifically.
Maine.
Yeah, the root of all evil. Apparently, background. It is a malevolent being that precedes our universe and came from Stephen King's Megaverse, something like that. Macroverse. There we go. That's the word, from the Macroverse. And essentially crash landed where Derry, Maine is, in like a comet type of situation, and then like ended up digging and making its lair there, which then turned into Maine, and then yada 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 yada.
Yeah. Isn't this explained a little bit more in chapter 2?
I think so. Yeah.
They go
more
into
so.
a little bit about how it actually got there, and with the floating lights and what all that means.
The dead lights and everything.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more too that like is in the books, because this is obviously based on the book by Stephen King.
Yes. Which we did not read.
Nope, did not at all.
Because that's fucking long.
Yeah, it's a big book.
And I don't have time to
So we got the cliff notes from the movies. And both, like, because the original movie has some stuff going on in it, and then this one has stuff going on in it. And they kind of switch some stuff around, with characters wise and stuff. So it's not all just like, it's not, what's the word? It's loosely based off the book, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, it follows along pretty much, but it's more loosely. So yeah. Should we get into it? You want to jump in? Yeah, because it's a pretty fucking long movie. So join us for this ride.
2 hours and 14-minute runtime.
Yeah.
And chapter 2 has an even longer one.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get through it. I mean, it's we can hit bullet points, but like also we can also just do what we do. So going into it, already off the boat, we get introduced to little Georgie and Bill, and it's raining outside, storming.
Yeah.
In fact,
and
Bill,
we're getting this melancholy kind of piano music in the background that becomes slightly more menacing and ominous throughout the scene playing out. We get more minor notes thrown in that make it feel a little more
spooky,
eerie. So kind of sets the scene for you.
And Bill is helping his little brother Georgie build a boat so that way he can go and sell it.
Making the SS Georgie.
Bill can't go because he's sick, but he's telling Georgie to get the wax from the cellar because they need it to seal up the boat so it doesn't sink. And Georgie's already scared to go into the cellar, which like every kid and even I would probably be, even at my age now, to go into like a dark cellar.
Yeah. Wouldn't, especially
no lights.
Like once he clicked the light, and I was like, of course the fucking light doesn't work.
Yeah.
And then also the tension's already building up too, and then we get a small like slight jump sound scare with Bill coming over the walkie being like, where are you? And it was like, ugh, it was all quiet and stuff, or the piano was playing but it kind of faded out, and it was like, oh.
They're definitely playing with the tension with the audio. And we did get a little October 1988 little timestamp there as he was making his way to the cellar, and at this point, he gets back he's looking around and he's getting spooked because throughout the whole movie, and even when we do end up seeing Pennywise, his eyes glow yellow and he sees these little glowing dots. And at first I was thinking it was going to be like a furnace or something, but it's just like stuff reflecting.
Yeah.
But honestly, it could have been Pennywise at that point already.
Yeah.
Just
I feel like it
with
maybe could have been. And because then I almost felt like I could see his outline of his head, but that could have just been my imagination making up
filling up
the
dots. Yeah, filling in the blanks.
So but it could have been Pennywise there. Whatever it was creepy, and then he shone the light on it. It was like, oh, okay,
enough to make him run back up. Of course, gets back upstairs and they finish
because the sound happens too, and he's like,
fuck,
oh, frick.
And they finish making the boat, which I think this is where Bill starts talking to him about being like, we call her a she. We call a boat a she.
Gendering the boat.
Yeah.
Which is typical. Most boats are a female name.
Yeah. I never got that.
Yeah.
Especially,
I think it's mainly because it was male captains. And
yeah.
they would name their...
And it's funny too, because
their one love is their boat.
This, people name their cars females as well, and their she's as well. Mm-hmm. And I never really, I guess, quite...
My first 3 cars were male.
I feel like that's a girl thing to do, right? Yeah. Because the alternative is like what the precedent is like guys always name their cars or talk about their cars as girls. Well, just to go back to whenever I got my first car, I guess I didn't necessarily realize that, like, I didn't realize everything that was behind it. And so, like, whenever I got my car and I tell my dad in front of his friends, oh, yeah, his name is Carlos. Because I thought it was punny.
Yeah.
Carlos,
that's funny.
Mexican. And so anyways, and I remember the look that they were all kind of like,
Okay.
And he was like, oh, and I'm like, yeah. And so that's just a funny memory that's always engraved in my mind.
My car now's a female. Her name's Lucy, short for Lucifer.
My car right now has no gender.
My car,
not even gender fluid.
I guess my car could be they, them.
I wouldn't even classify my car as non-binary. My car lives inside of a different universe. Yeah, it's kind of everything and nothing at the same time. It's kind of like heaven and hell, because I could
everything everywhere all at once.
Well, because for me, a car really essentially is like a death trap.
Yeah.
Because it is also like my biggest blessing, because it gets me everywhere and I love going everywhere. But every time I try to go everywhere, I get scared that I'm going to go nowhere.
Yeah.
So it's a double-edged sword.
It is. It's very terrifying.
So if Pennywise wanted to scare me,
just beep beep.
Literally, there's plenty of ways, but that's one surefire way. And so Georgie's finally outside. He's going out. He's
sending off the SS Georgie.
SS Georgie's going out to sell. Honestly, there is so much rain that I'm surprised. Like, it really is taking off. Like, it's just going.
Yeah,
and I guess people did do that back in the day.
I mean, I used to play in storm drains.
I would play in the water, yeah, but I didn't know like people would make like paper boats and stuff and then sell them, and then like I guess I don't know, but they did that, and he's out, and it's so...
We've got very whimsical music playing now, too, which makes it feel more cheery, and it's like, oh, what...
Because it's, like, happy.
Good,
it's, like...
Yeah, childhood.
Memories, nostalgia, very happy-go-lucky, as he's running, and he dodges, I would say, a... what are those called? What are those called?
A horse.
A hurdle thing?
Yeah.
Like, but it's not a hurdle. It's for, like...
It's like a sawhorse.
It's like... Is that what those are called?
Yeah.
I don't know what that's called for construction.
Mm-hmm.
Misses one, but then hits his head on the next one.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, knocks himself out. It's pretty funny. It's pretty comical.
I was like,
especially the way the music cuts and everything. And the boat takes off, goes across the street, and he's chasing after it, which is also already like, oh my God, kid, like be careful.
Yeah,
he's definitely
just
not
running through the middle of the road.
And it's raining really bad, so like people don't see people in murky viewage like that. Yeah,
their vision is obstructed quite a bit.
But I feel like that ties into something that I also was thinking of later in the movie. But anyways, his boat falls into what are those called again? Sewer drain. Yeah,
it falls into the little sewer drain, and we're thinking all is lost.
Yeah,
for just a second, and then
very womp womp womp,
and then a very happy-go-lucky, terrifying fucking Penny. The way he pops up is like, doomp.
Yeah,
and it's like,
hiya, Georgie.
Hiya, Georgie.
Hiya. Is this your boat? But yeah, he's got his boat and he's talking to Georgie, and Georgie already off the bat, you can tell is like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, because the moment he popped up, he was like, ugh.
Yeah. It's very scary. I love how also it's kind of like the Cheshire Cat. His eyes were kind of the first thing to pop up.
His smile, kind of that you could see, and then he moves into the light, and then you can see his whole face, and it's like still not. This is still unsettling.
I mean, even as a kid,
I never liked clowns.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I was like a huge.
Was I like?
Yeah, I love clowns. Yeah.
Like, no.
I didn't either.
I was like, get the fuck back, please.
I know one
and
time
I collect them now.
I went to Mexico with my family, and we went to Guadalajara, and there was like this town square, and there were like, people doing stuff for money and pandering and all those kinds of things. And there was clowns out there, and I remember there was a whole ring around a pantomime, and we were watching him, and for some reason it started walking up to me, and I was in tears, and I was like crying because he scared the fuck out of me.
I would have been too.
And I just remember that the clowns didn't really necessarily scare me too bad, but and these clowns were like putting knives, like swords, like down their throats and stuff like that. Like yeah,
fancy clowns,
very circus. Yes.
Yeah.
Or just people on drugs.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But we're in the sewer with Pennywise, and he tries to offer him the balloon, right?
Yes, he does.
And he's like, he offers him the boat first, and Georgie's like, yes, I want my boat back. But then he offers him a balloon, and he's like, I'm not supposed to take things from strangers. And then Pennywise is like, Pennywise, meet Georgie. Georgie, meet Pennywise.
We're not strangers anymore, which is exactly what a pedophile would do.
Exactly.
So fucking creepy. And so at the same time, we're also getting this lady who lives across the street, and she's like, outside with her cat. This is going to be Caitlin in like 64 years.
Yes.
And she's like, fixing her porch and all that because it's fucking windy as fuck outside. And she does notice that Georgie's down there, and she's like, oh, that's fucking strange, but doesn't do anything about it because, mind your business.
Yeah.
And yeah, at this point, we go back to little Georgie and Pennywise, and he's telling him, like, the whole circus is down here. Do you want to come join us? Like,
Can't you smell
the popcorn? Or before that, sorry, like what is it? Cotton candy?
Cotton candy
and
hot dogs.
Hot dogs. He said them all very creepily.
Yeah. And then he said popcorn. Do you like popcorn? Or he didn't say popcorn. Georgie said popcorn.
Yeah.
And he was like, yes, popcorn.
Is that your favorite? It's my favorite too. And so at that point, Billy's fate is sealed because he reaches in to try to get his boat because he's like, I got to go now. And Pennywise very much uses what Georgie said right before, was like, oh my God, Bill's going to kill me. And so he tries to give him back the boat. But instead of giving him the boat, we just see him open up his jaws and he gives him a big old chomp.
Yep, right on his arm.
Rips it right off.
Rips clean off.
Yeah. Yep. To like the shoulder blade.
Yeah. Like
socket.
That whole thing was gone, basically.
Poor thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's also like a kid, so you gotta, I guess their arms really like.
Not that big.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And then all the blood and everything.
There was lots of blood.
And then he's trying to get away, and which is really crazy. Like, damn, he really just took off his arm. Because even if someone were to pop up, like, he's bleeding out. Like,
yeah,
you can't even, like, whatchamacallit?
Yeah.
When people do that, put pressure, the band, the thingy.
Oh, fuck. What is that called? When you...
A tourniquet.
Tourniquet, yes.
Tourniquet. Yes. Isn't that a song by Evanescence? Tourniquet. No, I'm just thinking of My Immortal. That's a good song.
I'm sure they've got something in it that mentions
but yeah, and it's not looking too good for Georgie as he's getting drugged into the drain. And
yeah, you see Pennywise is super long, like Mr.
Inspector Gadget.
Oh yeah, Inspector Gadget, Mr. Stretch.
Very much like that.
Stretch Jordan, is that his name?
I don't know. Who's that from?
I think he's like a
mutant.
A little toy.
Oh.
That you can play with. Armstrong. Thank you. Armstrong.
Is
Stretch
that what
Armstrong.
It is? Oh, I never had that as a kid. I don't think I ever saw that. I'll have to look it up after the fact.
Play with him. But his arm gets really long and it pulls Georgie into the little sewer thing.
Sure does.
And all that's left is this little pool of blood.
Which the neighbor does see, yes.
Yeah, and the lady sees it, and I'm assuming she takes action. After that, the cat saw it all and was like, not my problem.
Literally. Cat was like can't do anything about that. I don't fuck with Pennywise shit. Very much. He's like, we have a mutual understanding.
Yes. He gets rid of the kids that pat my back too hard.
Yep. And really the cat is in charge. Could you imagine?
Yeah, the cat's actually Pennywise.
Picking all the kids.
That one.
Needs to go. Didn't let me shit on it. And we do get a very cool title card through a little tunnel, the Derry, Maine sewers.
I love the way that not only is it floating, but we float past it as well. It feels like we're just a balloon traveling through, which was super cool.
Mm-hmm.
I loved this title card.
It was immersive.
And then, of course, the whole theme of this movie is floating, basically, hence the balloons and stuff like that. And so it was really well done.
You'll float too.
You'll float too. You'll float too. You'll float too.
And we start to meet our protagonist one by one. We have, well, not one by one, but this first one is Mike. And he's with his family. He is with his grandfather, and he doesn't have he doesn't have it in him to kill. Is it a goat or sheep? Sheep, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they're on some sort of animal farm, and they're having to kill the sheep for some reason.
Euthanize it for some reason, yeah. Maybe there's something wrong with it, or he needed to put it down for some reason.
Yeah. I mean, they got them all of them, they had them lined up.
Yeah.
Just shoot them all. So who knows?
It's also dairy, so maybe there was like some like sickness plaguing
and
the
people
sheep.
do eat sheep too. So I guess they have to kill them sometimes. I don't know. It was pretty sad though.
Yeah.
And I too, Mike, would not have it in me.
And of course his grandpa, gives him a lot of shit for it. It's basically calling him, like a wuss for not being able to stand up and do that.
You're either on this side you're either the one holding the trigger or you're the one with the barrel pressed between your eyes.
Yeah.
And stuff, and gives him that whole long speech about all that. And then very quickly we kind of flash towards the kids in the school, right?
Yeah, we're at the school. We're with all the boys. We're meeting Bill and Stan and Eddie and Richie. They're, it's the last day of school. They're basically talking about there's a lot of it's so funny because they're like 12-year-olds probably. So of course there's a lot of like dick and your mama jokes and like dick measuring stuff all the time. Basically
teenage boy stuff.
Yeah, for sure, but it's real funny to watch. And it honestly reminded me of like 6th, 7th grade, because I'm like, yeah, these are like all the conversations that I heard of like just boys being stupid. And then we do see, we're talking about Stanley's bar mitzvah and all that's going on that he has to prepare for. They're talking about what they're going to do during the summer, which is like the video game shit. I forget the name of which one Richie was into. And then we get to meet Beaverly. As is it Greta?
I have no clue.
Bertha?
I didn't write that bitch's name.
Yeah. Bully bitch. She's picking on Beverly, and they put trash on her, and they're like basically calling her a slut because there's some rumors started that Beverly did some shit, even though she didn't. And even if she did, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah. They were being really awful to her. They filled up the trash sack with water and then dumped wet garbage all over her head as she was in the bathroom, and it was like, that's disgusting.
I've seen the garbage. I've seen garbage be thrown on people, not in real life, but I mean like in the movies. But like to put the water in there, I was like, that's savage.
It is.
Like that is fucked up.
Now you're gonna reek.
Ugh.
Hopefully,
I'd throw up.
Hopefully, most everything that's in that trash can is just paper towels, but also that's just
no. That's like people's poop paper and like other kind of paper, and like it's in the girls' restroom, so there might be like tampons and stuff in there.
But tampons and stuff, they typically have drawers, like little.
Do they?
Yeah, little.
Even
dispensers.
Back in the 80s?
I'm pretty sure, probably, or at least like a little. Because then otherwise you have to carry your tampon out to
the
thing, and that's pretty weird.
Saying, I don't know. I've had to clean a lot of public restrooms, and people were fucking disgusting.
Yeah, people are. I mean, I lived in college dorms as well.
Yeah. And
I had the shared bathrooms, and
even the places that are designated for things, people will do the complete opposite and put it where it's not supposed to be. Yeah, so that's
and then at Starbucks as well, whenever I worked there, people would smear shit on the walls. And
it's just like shit like that. Like,
just everywhere. And it's like, why do you feel the need to touch your own fecal matter?
Yeah.
We'll never understand it. And then in the dorms, girls would rip out their tampons and just let blood like
splatter.
cover the walls. And it was like, what? I just want to know who raised these people and like why they think that's okay. And I'm like, half the way that like they would leave these bathrooms, I was like, is this what your bathroom looks like at home? Because this is disgusting.
I've definitely had some thoughts about people about that.
Yeah. Did you know you could be putting oil and chemicals in your coffee? I love coffee creamer, but I don't think I've ever turned the bottle around to actually see what's inside. When I did, I found out many of my favorite creamers contain ingredients I would never intentionally add to my coffee cup, like canola oil, dipotassium phosphate, ew, and artificial flavors. Laird Superfood all started when big wave surfer Laird Hamilton needed morning fuel that could allow him to spend the entire day chasing the ultimate wave. He couldn't find anything in the market that met his ingredient standards, so made himself the ultimate plant-based creamer. Laird Superfood started and launched its first product, Original Superfood Creamer, in 2015. Laird Superfoods contain no artificial flavors, colors, or additives, and no sugars from highly refined corn syrup. All Laird products are sustainably sourced and thoroughly tested to ensure that you're incorporating the cleanest, finest fuel into your routine. All Laird products are also made of all-natural whole food ingredients, and they are crafted from the highest quality all-natural real food ingredients. Are you ready to feel more energized, focused, and supported? Go to lairdsuperfood.com and add nourishing plant-based foods to fuel you from sunrise to sunset. Use our promo code BOO at checkout to save 15% off your purchase today.
I love smoothies, but I don't love smoothie bar prices. With my BlendJet 2 portable blender, I can make smoothie bar quality beverages for a fraction of the price. BlendJet 2 is portable, so you can blend up a smoothie at work, a protein shake at the gym, or even a margarita on the beach. It's small enough to fit in a cup holder, but powerful enough to blast through tough ingredients like ice and frozen fruit with ease. BlendJet 2 is whisper quiet, so you can make your morning smoothie without waking the whole house. Lasts for 15 plus blends and recharges quickly via USB-C. Best of all, BlendJet 2 cleans itself. Just blend water with a drop of soap and you're good to go. There are also over 30 plus colors to choose from. I myself chose black because it matches the color of my soul. What are you waiting for? Go to blendjet.com and grab yours today. And be sure to use the promo code BOO12 to get 12% off your order and free 2-day shipping. No other portable blender on the market comes close to this quality, power, and innovation of the BlendJet 2. They guarantee you'll love it or your money back. Blend anytime, anywhere with the BlendJet 2 portable blender. Go to blendjet.com and use the code BOO12 to get 12% off your order and free 2-day shipping. Shop today and get the best deal ever.
Anyways, yeah, she got wet garbage dumped all over her, though.
Yeah, so that's not very happy, not very good, not looking so great for Miss Beverly. But we do transition to all the kids going outside and throwing away their whatchamacallit,
all their schoolwork
and everything,
school books and stuff. From
dumping the
they're
backpacks,
just dumping their whole backpacks out, which
Can't
I
blame
never
'em.
did.
I know I kept my shit.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
I
There's
always
something
did
about me
too.
that
I was
kept my
like,
shit.
I need to know everything that I always did.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's probably covered in rat piss.
Well, after a while, I did get rid of it, like probably after high school, but I did have all that stuff for like a long time, just in my closet. And we do see that on the marquee, there is a curfew for Derry kids. It is a 7 p.m. curfew.
Yeah, pretty early curfew.
Yeah, for sure. Like hella early. I couldn't imagine that ever being like flying today. It'd have to be like a 9 at least.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like is the standard if you're going to have a curfew. But then we also get Betty Ripson's mom, who we found out is
Betty
we're
Ripson.
finding out right now that she's
Missing.
a missing child.
Mhm.
Yeah. Her mom's out there looking for her.
Oh, yeah, because it's also, 6-7 months after 89, whenever Georgie went missing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we do have them out there. They're looking at the mom, and they're just like, oh, what does she think? Her daughter's just going to walk out? But, like, I'm sure she's just, like, so desperate to, like, to have anything happen. And we do have them, of course, what's the word? Having a confrontation with the bullies.
Yes. Henry and his gang
posse
goons,
and that sounds like a band name. Bad
Henry and his
ska
gang of
rock
goons.
band name.
Yeah.
And so they are assholes for one, and they're picking on all of them. And Billy
mocking Billy stuttering.
Yeah. And he ends up standing up to him, and it's very much like, oh shit, now that you did that, it's gonna be bad. But Henry's dad is like standing
there watching him
20-ish 30 feet away, so he can't really do anything right now, but it's basically like, when we see you later, you're dead. And then after that, we do have Ben and Beverly crashing into each other.
Yeah, quite
sweeping,
or not. I was gonna say quite literally, but
yeah, I mean, it's
literally. They
like,
meet up, and then poor Ben
he drops
just
all his
drops
fucking
everything.
shit and then falls off the bike,
and he's just like, he's a little bit of a mess. He likes Beverly, and that's very apparent, because he's getting all flustered all sorts of ways, and they're making jokes, like she's like, what are you listening to and stuff, and he's listening to New Kids on the Block,
which I would equate to like some teenage boy listening to like what would be like Backstreet Boys or something like that, or like Justin Bieber, One Direction. Yeah, there you go. Don't mind me, you guys. Sorry. There we go. And so she pokes fun at him a little bit, and he's, obviously trying to like play it off.
Really listen to them.
Yeah, but he sure does. And she is being really nice to him. And he's kind of like, we are in the same class together in social studies. And she then asked to sign his yearbook.
Yeah, which had unfortunately no signatures.
Yeah, poor guy, because he's the new kid. But he's the new kid, so there's it's kind of understandable, like moving into a new school halfway or right towards the end of like a school year.
Yeah, hopefully he made it one or two friends though.
Yeah,
but apparently he didn't.
Not at all. So after that, we do have Bill showing up home, but whenever he gets to his house, his dad's waiting for him in the garage, and
his dad is
very pissed.
Hella insensitive.
Yeah,
really. I mean, I guess he's just coping in his own way, but the way that he's just like,
in a
Georgie's
rage.
Dead.
Yeah.
Georgie, he's dead. He's dead. And I was like, God damn it, Dad, we get it.
Yeah. But I'm sure that's a lot of like a grief and pressure and like stuff that they're going through. I don't know. We don't know how many times Bill brought this up. And the dad's just at this point, like, it's too triggering for him, maybe. I don't know. But also, yes,
like
it was very insensitive.
I wouldn't give up hope until a body was found.
Yeah.
And hopefully I'll never have to experience that.
I'm like, yeah, that's knock on wood. Knock on wood. And so, yeah, Bill is just basically trying to show him, like, he made this whole thing out of, like, his hamster's tubes and whatnot.
The poor hamster.
Yeah, to construct the sewer system and to try to prove that Georgie would end up, like, at this, what was he calling it again? There was a name.
Barrens.
The Barrens, right?
Yeah.
But the dad is just not having any of it. And he's just, telling him to put all of his shit up, to call it a day. His brother is dead. And it's pretty sad. And obviously Bill is like, the actor, I don't remember the actor's name, but he's really good at like selling on his face emotionally, like the depth of like kind of what's going on. Because they're both grieving, and Bill is just like really stuck on his brother being alive somewhere, and if not, at least like a body or something. He's holding on to some kind of hope that they can find Georgie.
Jaden Martell. He's been in a few things. We covered The Lodge, right?
Did we?
Yeah,
we've covered so many movies. The Lodge. Which one's that one?
Where they got snowed in, and then it was like that whole like parallel like kind of universe where they like made the lady think that they had died from smoke inhalation.
Yeah,
and stuff like that. Yeah, he was in The Lodge, I believe. Yeah, he was.
Interesting.
That's really what I know him from.
It's all coming back to me now. Those fucking children.
Yeah, that end up getting shot.
Because they fucking gaslit and fucking
that lady to death.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that. Ooh, that was, yeah.
Good movie.
And then she shot the dad right in front of them.
Yep.
Ooh, spoiler alert. Go listen to that episode.
It was a good episode.
was
But yeah,
pretty good
Jaden
one.
Martell was in
He did good.
that one as well.
Same thing. Yeah, he does a good thing at his facial expressions, whatever you want to call that, emoting. And so after that, we have him. We have Mike out making deliveries. He's trying to deliver some food because obviously, his from the farm they're delivering meat. I don't know if it's sheep or cow or whatever, but he's taking it somewhere, and he ends up seeing the bullies' vehicle, and so he tries to hide from them by going, I guess, the back way or going down an alley.
Yeah.
Because I guess he ends up where he was supposed to end up, but like, anyways,
yeah,
we
I think
do
it
see
was
right
kind of a back door.
And we do see that he is going to like metal back door entrance to, I guess, the meat market, and before he can get in there, we start to hear like people banging, and then the
like
voices
rattling
and people screaming and begging for help, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. You hear the chain rattle
Mhm.
like kind of once, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden the door like busts, kind of not all the
Ajar.
way open, but ajar. Yeah, and you just see these hands like vying to get out, and they're burnt to.
Mhm.
They're
Very burned.
very burnt.
Yeah.
And then they're all screaming for help, and then all of a sudden the door like flies open,
Mm-hmm.
and those people are gone.
And before he can see anything, or no, yeah, he does see the silhouette of Pennywise right behind the
like meat hook things
Mhm.
behind those little clear but not completely translucent.
I deal with it every day
plastic.
in a walk-in, and I can't tell you the fucking name of it.
Yeah, little divider things. That you
Yeah,
walk
it keeps
through.
the cold in and whatever. And he ends up seeing that out, but as he's seeing that,
we get his glowing eyes again.
It's
too,
true.
Through it.
We do have the bullies then almost running him over, and he like throws himself aback so that way they don't hit him. And freaking Henry Bowers throws a cigarette at him and is like, "Get out of my town!"
Yeah, he's being
an asshole,
racist piece of shit.
Yeah. And then we have, I guess, the guy who he's supposed to meet is like, Mike, are you okay?
Yeah, what are you doing back here, bud? Like,
yeah,
you're all on the ground and shit.
The meat's on the floor. Give me my meat.
Yeah, give me the meat.
Yeah.
And then we're with Stanley.
Stanley.
And he's reciting the Torah, and apparently he's the rabbi's son.
Yeah.
So,
and his rabbi dad is being like really harsh on him and like being like, what's it look like if, the rabbi's son can't recite from the Torah?
Yeah.
And he's getting him ready for his bar mitzvah.
Clearly you haven't been studying. So he's like, go leave that book in my office because you don't need it. Because you're not going to use it anyways. So just fucking put it back. And so he does. He goes to go put it back, and he's walking past this portrait, which is honestly terrifying.
Terrifying. It's like the screaming man, but like a lady.
Yeah, like the scream. Yeah.
Yeah, the scream. Yeah.
And her face is just so like elongated, and it looks like a Tim Burton character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but then made real.
Yeah.
She was pretty, like, she could have been in Coraline or something. She reminds me of the like mom from the button-eyed mom.
Oh yeah,
from Coraline a little bit.
It has a name, doesn't it? I don't remember the name.
The other mom or something.
Mm-hmm. But like in its like demon form, her demon, like whatever form.
It's been now way too long since I've watched Coraline.
But yeah, nonetheless spooky because he's in the office, and he already we are already knowing that he is afraid of it because he's like trying to shield his eyes from seeing it. But for some reason, it falls off of the wall.
He decides to fix it.
Yeah, which I would have just left it on the floor.
Well, he even fixes it before then.
Oh,
I think that's why, because it was crooked. And so he straightens it. And I was like, why are you touching this painting? This thing's cursed. And then, then as he's putting the book up, the thing falls on the floor. And it's like, nope, I would have left it on the floor. I would have been like, nope.
I would have walked on it. And he puts it back up, but the lady's missing from the fucking painting. And she ends up coming from behind him and scaring the crap out of him, so much so that he runs out of the office. But a pretty terrifying moment because she is very spooky in real life.
And she's playing, like, she has this flute in the picture too. And so you hear this like eerie flute music playing as well. And then you're just like, and then she kind of like at him, and he runs, and it's It's terrifying.
Yeah. I would do the same if I was Dan.
Yeah. Hell the fuck no. I would not be in that room. I also just, the moment that painting fell on the floor, I would have been like, fuck this shit. I'm out.
Yeah, that's your red flag number 1.
Yeah.
Number 1 and 3.
I would not have picked it up. And then if I did pick it up and the moment I saw it was empty, I would have been like, nope.
I think also too though, like that's the power of like it as well as like it kind of keeps them there in like a fear like that stupor, like you know what I mean?
Yeah, like with the deadlights when they're just like
Mm-hmm.
staring at him, kind of like a train wreck.
Like you can't even move
away. You
yeah,
can't look away. But then we're at Munchausen by proxy kid's house.
Eddie. Yeah.
Poor kid.
Yeah, poor kid, because he is basically living what's that girl who killed her mom's life?
Oh yeah, Munchausen by proxy. So
is that what that is?
Yeah. It
is.
Okay. Yeah. Gypsy Rose.
Yeah, there we go. Because the mom is like basically like telling him he's Bubble Boy, but nothing's even wrong with him. And she's like making him take all these medicines and like trying to keep him home, and he's always sick and whatnot.
And constantly afraid of all the germs around him and stuff.
Yeah.
He's got at least a little bit more freedom than Gypsy Rose did.
For sure.
Or Gypsy Rose. That was a horrible. I think she's about to go on parole.
Yeah, she's about to get out.
Yeah, which is good for her.
Crazy.
I mean, well, I don't know. It's not great to kill your mom, but also I
mean, there are situations that I feel like...
don't know what else I would have done in that situation. That's self-defense at this point.
You know what? She didn't even kill her.
The boyfriend did.
The boyfriend. Not me defending Gypsy Rose, hire me. No, I'm just kidding. JK. And so they're, you know, obviously trying to leave the house, and then the mom is embarrassing him. She wants a kiss from her little baby. I thought it was really funny,
Aren't you forgetting something?
Yeah. And then he's like, sorry, mommy. Pretty funny kid.
Because, Richie's like, do you want one from me too?
Yeah.
And then she was like, she kind of chuckled.
Yeah,
I think.
A little bit.
But then
I feel
was
so.
like, ugh, these kids.
As one would. And they're biking. They're on their way to the sewers because they went. I can't say that word. Sewers, because Bill is, you know, obviously he had that whole idea of like where he thinks his brother is, and he thinks he's at the Barrens, and so they're all going down there to help him look. And while they're doing that, we do also cut to Ben, who is at the library. He's writing poetry.
Writing a love letter to Bev.
Mm-hmm.
Your hair is winter fire. January embers.
My heart
burns there too.
And he is
honestly
also
quite beautiful.
Oh yeah, very poetic. And I guess hats off to Stephen King. And he's looking at the history of Derry as well, looking at all these books. We do get a little mention from the librarian, like, why aren't you outside with friends? And he's like, I don't have friends. And then she's like, judging hardcore. But then as he's looking at all that shit, I think we cut to the boys again, and they're oh no, this is where I saw on the table, of course, that they had already found a body in the news clipping, but it was not Betty's. So we're also getting more like there's been a lot of kids missing, I guess, here recently. And we get a balloon floating in the middle of the library.
Yeah. And all the while he's looking at all of the as he's looking at all the
history?
Easter footage and stuff like that too, there's this creepy lady in the background who's like slowly getting closer to him as well. And she just, you can tell, you can't really see her facial features, but you can tell she's got this like unhuman grimace, like, or just not grimace, a smile that is terrifying on her face.
Very like the movie Smile.
Yeah, exactly.
Go listen to that episode too.
And this is just a plug for all of our previous episodes. We did The Ring as well.
We did.
We mentioned that earlier.
Go check that one out. That was a little while back.
Yeah, that one's one of the OGs. But yeah, then that red balloon's floating through, and Ben decides to follow it like a silly, like a little silly goose.
Yeah, someone who's never been in a horror movie before. And he goes down, and we're seeing that there are these little like Easter eggs that are on fire and smoking.
Yeah,
they look like bombs.
Because of the Easter
massacre
explosion that happened that killed a bunch of kids. We saw like
kids' bodies in
decapitated
trees.
Like a head inside of a tree and stuff, and that's where the decapitated body comes from later. But yeah, it's just this trail of Easter eggs that are on fire.
And they lead him to, I guess, like a basement
Or
storage
they're
room.
Smoking.
Yeah. Leads him to like a storage area of books down in the base. I don't want to call it basement because I don't know if it's a basement, but it's a lower level than what he's on.
Yes.
And it's really dark and there is no lights.
Yes.
Essentially.
They're very dim lights. And of course, they're also flickering.
It gives like that place in your libraries where they keep like the
archives.
The archives. Yeah. Or the books that are very fragile.
Mm-hmm.
And so.
It's definitely a place he shouldn't have been.
No, for sure.
And I also would have turned around the moment I saw that. I would have been like, nope, I don't like where these little Easter eggs are taking me.
Very scary. And especially when he turns around and he sees that headless torso body walking down the steps.
Coming down the stairs.
And it's very slow at first, but then it starts to move fast and do like this little twitchy thing. And then like it starts chasing him out of nowhere.
Running at him. Yeah. And that was
pretty freaky.
Pretty creepy. Yeah. It was a little also comical how it was running.
Yeah.
But also like if that was running at me,
I'd
then
be
no
really
way would
creeped
that
out.
be comical.
Yeah.
I would be
terrified. Because then it also like halfway turns into Pennywise himself chasing him. Mm-hmm.
Which
at this point, Pennywise just likes to fuck with people. He was definitely ad-libbing that. I feel like Bill is just ad-libbing that.
Yeah, that was funny.
And he ends up colliding with the librarian that he was talking to earlier, and she's like, "What are you doing down here?" And he just kind of like runs off in a terror. And after that, we do have him coming out of the library, but he runs into the fucking bullies.
Almost immediately. Henry Bowers.
Henry Bowers. Like Bowser. Sorry, from Nintendo. Okay, anyways, so he does run into him, and of course, he tries to run away from him, but they end up getting into, are they on bikes or are they in a car? Yeah, because I don't think they're even no, they just chase him, right? Because they end up getting to that bridge. Maybe they do have a car. Anyways.
I think they just end up, I think they're just chasing
like on foot, right? Yeah, because they end up getting to that bridge, and Henry's like, this is the something bridge. This is either for kissing or for carving. And so he tries to carve his name in his stomach, which is really fucking crazy. And one of the other kids too was just like, what are you doing, Henry? And he's like, shut up.
Yeah.
Henry is definitely the ringleader. Yeah, pretty wild, pretty unbelievable, because poor Ben is just getting cut up. And we even have a car driving by, but they don't pay any attention to what's happening, and it's probably because of Pennywise, and he's like either like put a veil like to where they don't see it, or they're just like numb to like the evilness that's going on, because we do see a balloon pop up in the back of the vehicle.
A little red balloon floats up.
And thankfully Ben is able to like fight off him a little bit, that he's able to push
the
back.
Opportunity with the car driving by to kind of fight back a bit, and he ends up kicking himself, he kicks Henry back, but then ends up also knocking himself down the little hill thing,
rolling down.
Yeah, and he's getting pretty beat up on the way. I mean, his stomach's already been slit open. Yeah. And then at that point they're kind of running away.
Yeah, and he's running down they're all going down the hill chasing him, and what's his name, Henry, is bitching because he lost his knife.
And he's like, my dad's gonna kill me.
Yeah. Nope. Reverse.
You're gonna kill your dad with that knife.
But they end up, what's his name is looking for the knife with one of his other friends, and he delegates the other two bullies to chase after Ben.
Yes, and Patrick.
I
only know that this one is named Patrick because
it's
my brother's name.
Yeah.
So,
it's stuck with you.
Yeah.
The long-haired one or the other one?
The one who uses the blowtorch as the light.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
The one who dies.
Yeah. And so he sends them to go look for Ben, and Ben ends up popping up by
the sewers.
Oh yeah, where the other guys
are.
Yeah, and they're like, "What the fuck happened to you?"
Yeah, they're kind of in there already discussing whether or not they should go in, and Eddie's like, absolutely not, I'm not going in there. That is gray water. That is basically just human piss and shit, and I'm not going in there. And he's like, you could get staph infection. And then Richie's like, I'll show you a staph infection, and holds the staff.
Yeah,
that he's a stick in his hand up against his pelvic area.
Mm-hmm,
It's funny.
He's very funny throughout the whole movie, and
he has so many good little one-liners.
Definitely the comedic levity of the movie.
Yeah.
And they're all looking through there. Of course, this is all going on at the same time that the shit was happening with Ben. With Ben. And they also find what's her name, Shoe. Betty.
Yep, find Betty Ripson's shoe.
And they're like, oh my God, okay, wait, this is actually her fucking shoe. That's scary. But at the same time that all this is happening, then that's whenever Ben popped up.
Yep.
And then they're like, oh my God, what the fuck? And then
they basically get the heck out of there because they're like, we need to help him.
Yeah.
And Patrick thinks he hears them in the sewer still, so he goes to investigate in the sewer. And he's using a blowtorch, like basically the blowtorch, which was just a lighter and a can of spray paint.
Yeah.
I think, which I was like, first off, that sounds messy.
Yeah, it does.
But whatever.
Yeah, I guess from tagging, from what he just
probably
has on him. But he goes in there and he's looking for them. He hears them. He's getting lured deeper into the tunnels. And that's whenever he runs into the undead.
Yeah, basically little zombie people. They're like, you found us, Patrick.
Yeah.
And then they're just little eyeballs are falling out and stuff like that. And it's like, oh. Spooks
him enough to go running. But then he ends up getting himself trapped in a dead end.
Yeah.
And Pennywise pops up. The balloon pops up, and then Pennywise comes after it pops.
And then it's just like, it's a very quick death for Patrick.
A little off screen, kind of half on screen, half off death.
Yeah.
And he's dead. Can't get no deader than that.
Nope.
And so after that happens, the boys are going to the pharmacy because they want to help Ben. They need some, gauze and whatever, Band-Aids and all that type of stuff. But they don't have any money. So they end up running into Bev, who's in the store already trying to buy tampons because her time of the month just started, her period. And she's trying to avoid, apparently this is that bitch bully's dad's pharmacy. So she's trying to avoid her who's leaving.
Her name is Greta.
Yeah. And then they end up bumping into each other. So they explain to her what's going on. And so she then goes up to the counter to distract the pharmacist, who is pretty fucking creepy, Mr. Keene. Because he's, she's asking him to try on his glasses, and then she's calling him like Clark Kent, and then he's like, oh, you could be Lois Lane. And I'm like, this is a 13-year-old,
this
sir.
Is a nasty situation that is happening.
But she distracts him enough so that way the guys can get out with the shit that they need to go help Ben.
Yeah. And then she snags a cigarette box, I think, right off of the countertop as well.
Some cigaronis.
Yep.
And they are out there, they're helping Ben out. We get a lot of, throughout the whole movie, the kids are very especially Richie and Eddie are very, with banter, bickering banter with each other. I love how Eddie was like, it's in my second fanny pack, get my gauze or something like that. And they're like, why do you have 2 fanny packs? And so then Bev comes out, and this is where we kind of get that Bill and Bev have a little romantic
chemistry
going on, because he's looking at her with the whole slow-mo, she's walking up, most beautiful girl you've ever seen situation.
Glowing.
Yeah. It's because she just had her period. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
And he is
you're not glowing during
those
the
are
period.
hormones. But yeah, they end up she goes down the alley because she's like, oh my God, that's Ben from Soch. And she's asking them what happened. And Bill kind of just says everything that happens. I love how she even makes a little New Kids on the Block joke, because she's like, are you sure they have the right stuff for you? And yeah, at this point, they're all just kind of like, okay, well, Ben's helped. And Bill invites her to go to the cliff things to go swimming tomorrow.
Yeah. To the quarry.
The quarry. There you go.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of stuff in this town: a quarry, mines, tunnels,
the
barrens, a whole sewer system that's since when are sewer systems you can walk in them?
Oh, well,
are ours like that?
There's there are tunnels and stuff,
that are that big.
I don't know about there's tunnels under Baylor and stuff like that you can kind of walk in.
That's creepy.
Yeah. I've gone into
You've walked
some
in
of
there?
them. Mm-hmm.
Is it dark?
Yeah.
As fuck?
Mm-hmm.
Do you lose cell phone service?
I don't remember.
Oh, I want to go now.
It
Where are
was
these tunnels?
Long time ago.
Okay. Anyways,
But
back on this subject.
Then basically we're arriving home with Bev.
Yeah.
And her creep ass dad. Her
Creepy
dad
ass
is
father.
a nasty man.
Hafaja is not a good guy.
No. And he's being creepy to her, and he sees what she bought, and he kind of like caresses her hair and like smells her head. And
it's just like, tell me you're still my little girl.
Yeah. Which was disgusting.
Yeah. When she was walking into, I loved how the TV was like talking about something about like the sewers and like going into the sewers. I don't know if you saw, if you heard that.
No, I didn't catch that. But that is cool.
It was very much like whenever Henry is listening to the TV later on about his dad, and then kill him all. It was very much like that. Yeah, he's creep. Bev is in the bathroom now, and she's going through like literally a mental breakdown because of her dad, and she's cutting all her hair off. And then at
first the hair was going down the drain so smoothly, and I was like, I don't think it would go down that smoothly.
No.
And then it finally was like kind of clogging it up, and I was like, okay, good.
There we go.
I was like, this is more realistic.
That's real life, because we've all been there. And so we have
I've been there twice.
Being the next day, and the boys are at the cliff. They're like, hawking loogies, and then they're being chicken about jumping off. But then Bev shows up and takes off her clothes and is in like her bikini essentially.
Yeah, they're all in their underwear. And I was like, none of y'all motherfuckers had any swim trunks.
I don't know. I feel like that was very like the 70s, 80s vibes.
Yeah,
like
just go swimming in your underwear.
You're under Rooney's. And they end up.
But the 80s had some really cool swimwear, actually. In actuality,
a lot of cool sportswear and stuff. I feel like that they did for the women, but I don't know about like guys, especially little kids, because that's different. They're little kids. They're not like wearing like Speedos and stuff.
True.
But they jump off because Beverly jumps off. So they're chasing her. They all are. It's a very fun moment because they're bonding and they're having fun. They're playing as kids do in the water. And at this point I thought like, oh shit, something's going to happen. One of these kids is going to like get pulled under. Yeah, start drowning. But thankfully...
it's just an actual happy little
they're
aside.
having fun, and then Bev starts suntanning, and they start to watch her, and it's a very cute like
it was funny
coming of age moment. I feel like
they're
for all
just
of them
staring at her like, duh.
Even for Bev too, like, and being like, oh, these boys are looking at me, like what?
Oh, I'm a girl. That's right.
Yeah. And so, because she very much, I feel like at this point, like. It feels like one of the boys, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it's like
she was intentionally trying to.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Yeah.
That's why she felt so comfortable in being like just like this and like that. But then she has to realize, like, oh yeah, like they find me sexually attractive. Yeah.
I'm in my underwear.
Yeah.
It's all fine. But yeah. But we're all basically sitting there around the rock. Who is it? Richie's going through Ben's bag or whatever.
Yeah. And he's kind of making fun of him because he has books and all that, and it's summertime.
Yeah,
whatever.
And he's like, well, I'm just researching the town that I'm in. And he's like, Derry's unlike anything I've ever heard. Like people I've ever lived in before, people die or disappear 6 times the national average. And he said, and that's just the grown-ups. Kids are worse. Way worse.
And at that point, that's what sparks all their interest, because then Bev is like, oh, like, let me see. And he tells them a little bit, just all that. But then he's like, I can show y'all more. So he takes them to his house.
Yep. And then we basically get in there and we find out that there's this kind of Roanoke situation with the 91 founders of Derry.
Yeah, very much
where they all just kind of disappear and no one really knows what happens, all 91 of them.
Yeah, no
trace. They wrote the town treaty or whatever, and then all of a sudden they were just like, deuces.
Gone. Yeah. And it's kind of like Roanoke again, where they're like, there was talks of like maybe Native American tribes being close by or something, but there's no actual definitive explanation for why or where they went to.
Yeah, exactly.
And there was just Croatoan written in a tree. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But what is it in SpongeBob? Croatoa!
Yeah.
With his volcano powers. But they end up learning about all of that, and they're looking all over his room, and it's very much like Ben has it very much like investigators. What are they? Their pin boards and whatever.
Yeah. With all the he was just missing the red string attaching everything.
Literally, because everything's all on the wall. Even his New Kids on the Block poster that I love too, how like even when we have like this like serious moment going on, they play it's like the New Kids Block song comes on and it's like
and it's just very cute.
Yeah.
I like how Bev closes the door and is like
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Bev's super cool. She gets it. And so after they learn about all this kind of stuff that's been going on, they kind of pinpoint that the epicenter of everything and blah, 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 blah is the well house.
Yeah, because I think all that was left was like a trail of bloody clothes leading to the well house after the 91 founders went missing.
Yeah.
And so basically everything was kind of, all leading to the well house. So they were like,
That's odd. That's more than a coincidence. But we don't add things up quite yet. We're just like building the equation at this point. And so at this, after this, Eddie starts to walk home and he gets past. It's so funny that we were just talking about the well house, and he's walking past a spooky, scary home that we learn later.
Dilapidated home that we learn later is the well house.
Where the fucking well house is. But he's walking past it and he gets his little beeper beeping where it's time to take his pills, but he's freaking out at the same time because he's walking past this house and he's getting creepy vibes and the door happens to just open.
And then there's his voice calling his name like, Eddie.
Eddie, yeah.
What do you want, Eddie?
It's like time to take your medicine.
Yeah, and he spills, all the pills. They're all everywhere because he's shaken so bad. And then this leper / zombie creature looking thing helps him pick up one and then basically just chases him. And he's like, time to take your pill. Oh, wait, no, that's later. Then he says, time to take your pill.
But he's just asking him, like, can I help you with this one or something like that? Or I don't know. But he is chasing him. It's freaking him out. Poor Eddie is scared out of his mind. And as he gets away, the zombie leper guy stops chasing him and it turns into like a bunch of balloons and Pennywise holding the balloons. And he's talking to Eddie. And he's telling him,
we all float down here. You'll like it. You'd be home already if you lived here. Basically. And the balloons start popping and Eddie is scared and he runs off because Pennywise disappears whenever all the balloons pop. Yeah.
And so at that point, we've got what? Like Eddie, Stan, Ben, I think Mike. Everybody has had pretty much an encounter so far.
Yeah.
Except for Bill and
none of them are
Richie.
Speaking up about it.
Yeah.
First, there was one point after it happened to someone, and I was like, why the fuck are none of them talking about this? Because the moment something like that happened to me as a little kid, I would have been like, guys, guess what?
Guess what?
I saw the weirdest shit. Like,
a demon.
Yeah.
Following me. Yeah.
Anytime I saw a ghost in my house growing up, I would tell my friends immediately and be like, I saw a new ghost.
Were they still your friends after they told you told them?
Yeah, most of them. Well, some of them, we were at a sleepover once and we all saw one.
Ooh.
And so
that's how you make
I
the best
think they
friends.
Believed me because they were like,
we got to go to Caitlin. It's very much like this movie I just saw, The Boogeyman, and the girls go over for like a sleepover because they don't believe this other bitch that like shit's going on in her house. It's the whole thing. But yeah. And so we're back with Bev. She is at home and she ends up finding the note card that Ben left in her backpack. But at this point, she doesn't know who left it for her. She is thinking that it's Bill, though, at this point. And she's reading it in the restroom and then she starts to hear voices from the drain.
Yeah, her name being whispered and stuff in the sink. They're like, Beverly. And it's creepy.
That's perfect. And they're calling her closer. And so she's looking at the drain and then like this like hair, obviously because she cut her hair, very like Evil Dead starts like coming out and wrapping around her.
Yeah, because she puts a measuring tape down the drain.
Oh, sorry, my bad. That's like, right. Yeah.
How the fuck like can this be happening?
Yeah.
So she goes and gets a measuring tape and puts it down the drain. And the people had already said, we all float down here kind of thing.
Yeah.
And as she's pulling the measuring tape back up, it's caught on, you see there's blood and that there's also hair in it. And then all of a sudden, like you said, very Evil Dead, this hair starts coming out and it's wrapping around her and there's hair and blood everywhere. Blood starts
spewing out
from the sink. It's honestly such a cool scene.
Yeah,
I
it
love
really
this
is.
scene a lot.
All the blood just pouring out. Her poor face. She finally like kind of backs up off of it, is able to break free from the hair
And breathe.
But the blood is just still spewing all over the walls, all over the room. She's freaking out. She's screaming.
Painted the room.
And her as well. And she's screaming bloody murder. So her dad runs in. And he's like, "What's wrong?" But he doesn't see anything. He doesn't see the blood.
Yeah.
And he's just like telling her, like, "You worry me," very creepily.
Yeah.
It's very much like, "You're just like your mother.
Yeah.
Now she's dead, and you're gonna end up just like her." Anyways, I don't know any of that, but yeah.
I feel like it was maybe explained later
And the other
in
one,
the second one
okay.
He
We'll get
was
more.
worried that she would end up leaving like her mom did or something. And then he said like, "You look just like your mother," or something like that. Like, I feel like, or maybe I'm confusing another movie, but I think you're right.
Something
actually.
like that. And so, yeah, pretty freaky.
And then we're back with Billy now.
Billy. He's back in his house.
He's walking around because he's getting something. And all of a sudden we see this light switch on in Georgie's room. So he goes to sit down in there and
check it out.
He's just, kind of sobbing.
Very nostalgic.
Yeah. Holding one of his little Lego toys, like a little Lego alligator turtle looking thing. And then all of a sudden you notice this shadow on the door.
Yes.
Which was very creepy. And then it runs off and it was like, whoop. And then Bill hears a little pitter patter of footsteps. And so he's like, "Well, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Let me go investigate."
And so he goes to investigate and he's going through the house. And then at a certain point, it is Georgie, right? Georgie pops up and he thinks he sees Georgie.
Yeah. He sees Georgie run past like in the kitchen, and stuff.
It leads him to the cellar. And so he goes into the cellar.
Dropping the Lego thing.
Yeah. And goes down. And that's when he ends up seeing Georgie. And Georgie's talking to him in his little
I lost it,
outfit
Billy.
and everything. Yeah.
Don't be mad. It just floated off. But Bill, if you come with me, you'll float too. You'll float too. You'll float too. You'll float too.
And he just starts going off the hinges.
And
it's obviously not
face is like
the real Georgie.
Yeah. As he screams and stuff, and it's like it's pretty gross looking.
Yeah. It's very much like a dead body would look like a zombified little child.
Yeah.
And then it turns into Pennywise.
Yeah, Pennywise is like floating up in the water next to him. He's just like there, kind of like almost like an alligator.
Yeah.
Would be just like with just his nose and his eyes above the
Popping
water,
out.
Basically. And he's just staring at him. It's so creepy. And then all of a sudden,
just starts going after him.
Yeah. This is when I was like, I love how none of these kids are communicating what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
Because this is some major shit that's happening. And I would be talking to my friends about it.
Especially since it feels more than just a bad dream in like real life.
Yeah.
And ends up running after him. And then Bill's able to run out. And then we just see like this very creepy Pennywise just like land on the staircase and then just like slithered off.
Yeah.
Like a
it was
snake
so
almost.
creepy.
Yeah.
The way that he slid back down. It was terrifying. And then we've got Bev showing them the bathroom basically, and is like, "Please tell me you guys see this."
Because her dad didn't see it, and they're like, "Yeah, we do." And I love how Bill is just like, "We can't leave it like this." I'm like, "Well,
you left Richie outside,"
and I'm like,
also you're worried about her dad coming home. We got time. You don't got time to kill, bud.
And I was also like, it's not real.
It's fake. Yeah.
I was like, but it's not real. Like, I don't know. Yeah. And the way that they still clean it though. I'm like, so was it real? But maybe just the dad didn't see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
It was real
maybe
to
just
them.
Adults don't see it. Yeah. So anyways, yeah, they're helping her clean the whole restroom up, which I'm sure took for fucking ever. And also Richie had to stay outside and keep watch. So he was just sitting out there the whole time. And they get it all cleaned up. We have a moment where Ben like goes to Miss Bev's room and is kind of like admiring her room. And then we have all the boys walking out and leaving Bill and Bev together. And she is able to like mention the poem.
Yeah, she's like January Embers. And Billy's like,
the fuck is that?
Is that from the play? Because
she did mention only one boy ever kissed me and none of the rumors are true. Yeah.
And we know from earlier in the film that that was Billy in a play like way back in the day.
In the 3rd grade.
Yeah, in the 3rd grade. And he was just like, "Was that from the play?" And she was like, "No, the poem." And he was like, "I don't really read poetry."
So she's like,
"Oh, well,
so that must not have been you."
Awkward.
Yeah, but it's still kind of a sweet moment between them.
Yeah,
because then he's like, don't worry, because like I never believed those rumors, and none of these guys, believe the rumors, and also kind of sucks because now you're one of us, and we're all losers, so you're a loser too.
Yep.
Haha.
We're all losers.
Silly.
Loser club. And then now they're leaving. Richie's giving them shit for being like, "What the fuck, you guys? Why did you take so long?"
Yeah.
And then they're finally talking about what happened to each of them, though.
Yeah, it gets brought up, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, I saw something. Oh, I saw this too." And then Eddie's like, "It was a clown," and they're like, "I saw him too."
And then Richie was like, "Can only virgins see this stuff? Is that why I'm not seeing this shit?"
Yeah, Richie's hilarious.
He is. Played by Finn Wolfhard, who was Mike in Stranger Things.
Mm-hmm, a great choice, which also translated well into the next one whenever Bill Hader plays him and stuff.
Yes.
So yeah, a lot of funny stuff there.
I'm very partial to the second one because Bill Hader is one of my favorite people on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
I love Bill Hader. He has a direct link to my funny bone.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All things Bill Hader
cracks me up.
He's pretty funny.
New York's hottest club is
Stefan. And so they end up talking about all that shit, and then they're like, okay, well, that's crazy that we've all seen this stuff. And then all of a sudden, while they're talking about it, they do see that Mike's bike is like by the side of the road, and then they see the bully's car, so they're like, oh no, something's happening, so we gotta go help Mike. And
I love how they all throw their bikes down, but Stanley's like, nope, I'm gonna prop mine.
Yeah.
I don't know why that was so funny to me.
It's very much his character.
Yeah.
And
they also left him in the middle. They always leave their bikes in the middle of the road. And I'm like, are y'all not worried about cars like coming to run over your bikes?
He's definitely more like the proper one. Prim
and proper.
Yeah. But they get there just in the nick of time because unfortunately Mike is being it's not a fight because they're just like pummeling him and like really kicking him.
Yeah,
and
they're like
beating him the fuck up.
Kill him.
Yeah,
yeah.
And Mike is there and he sees Pennywise like waving like a part of a dead hand or dead arm.
Looked like he was just having a little snack.
And
it was honestly a really funny scene. It was kind of cute.
Yeah, and Henry's got a rock in his hand and he's about to hit Mike, but thankfully, Bev throws the first rock. And it ends up hitting Henry in the head. And then we get an all-out rock war between the kids and the bullies.
So dangerous.
Very dangerous.
I was like, how are these kids not like on their asses?
Concussed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because those were big rocks.
They were stones.
Those are stones. Yeah. They were stoning each other.
Yeah. Those weren't like little pebbles or something. They were like bigger than their fists.
But if they didn't, Mike would be dead. So they had to.
That's true.
Yeah. And at this point, they win. Henry's left like a little bitch on the floor looking like he's about to cry, and then they're like, go blow your dad, and he runs off, whatever, yada yada.
Yeah.
And then we have some more explanation happening. Ben is telling them how the dates they correlate or whatever.
And it happens every 27 years. And he's saying, I have a feeling it's going to end for a little bit at least. It seems to happen every 27 years.
Yeah.
And then we get everyone kind of explaining again what they all saw now, and like actually saying more in depth. And then Mike explaining that the reason he's explaining basically what he saw and why he saw it, because there was a house that burned down, and that was his house. He was inside of it, and while his parents basically burned to death. He said the skin on their hands had melted down to the bone.
Yeah.
And they were just screaming his name and like trying to get him out and stuff, trying to get to him so they could get him out, but they couldn't get to him because the fire was too hot.
They died.
Yep, they obviously died. Yeah.
And they are drawing their conclusions that like basically it is playing off their fears. This being or whatever creature it is.
And then they were like, Richie, what are you afraid of? And he was like, clowns.
Yeah. Which is really funny because obviously its main form to them is a clown, Pennywise.
Exactly.
And they do end up, I think they're talking about how they need to formulate a plan to like find him or, to defeat it. And so they end up setting the schematics for Derry, and they end up finding that the like nexus of all of it is ending up in the well house, which happens to be that house that Eddie was walking by the other day.
Yeah, and they set up a little projector thingy,
Yes.
and they've overlaid it and stuff, and then that's it was like, oh,
Yeah.
that's a dilapidated house.
Yeah. And they're talking about like, trying to figure it out. But I think at this point too, what is it? Stanley or Richie just kind of like, I mean, none of this is real. Like what are we even talking about? What are we trying to do? Like, what are we, whatever. And then that's when the projector falls over.
Yeah.
And it starts like going off on its own.
Yeah. I think
or it did before that.
It was doing it beforehand. And there was a picture of Bill and his family with little Georgie and his mom's hair just like covering her face. And then Pennylock turns into a L'Oreal commercial with his beautiful, luscious locks.
Mm-hmm.
And then he starts coming through
the whole fucking projector screen.
Yeah.
As like a big supersized like Mario mushroom Pennywise.
Yeah. Once it knocked over and once the projector knocked over and the picture got all skewed, it very much reminded me of Bagul.
Oh,
and I was like, this is so sinister.
So
go listen to our Sinister episode.
Go do that.
And one and two. We've
2.
covered both. But yeah, and then he pops out and he's fucking giant.
Mm-hmm.
And
I was like, why is it so
whenever
huge?
he popped out, I'm gonna be honest, it scared me.
It was pretty scary.
Whenever he just was like, boop, I was like, oh fuck.
Yeah. Well, and his face is pretty scary too at that point.
Yeah, it is.
And he's just huge, and then he's like going, kind of chasing the kids all over the room, and he starts locking in onto Bev, but thankfully the boys end up pulling up the garage door so all the light comes in and he disappears. But at this point, now everybody has seen something, and it was funny because even Richie was like this whole time now freaking out. I mean, like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, he was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, this is what we've been telling you, bitch.
Yeah.
Like, and then
they're
Eddie's
freaked
like,
out.
It saw us and it knows where we are now. Like, this is a problem.
Yeah.
Basically.
Uh-huh.
And then Billy's like, we have to kill this thing.
And we have to do it. And we have to stick up for it. We have to do it for all the kids, essentially.
Yeah.
Because if I were a missing kid, I'd want people to like, whatever.
Look for me too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so Billy goes to the well house and basically everyone's like, what the fuck? And they follow him.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, no, don't go in there. And he was like, do you know what it's like to come like home to
no Georgie?
Brother? Yeah, no Georgie being there. And he basically is saying walking into this house is easier than walking into my own because of Georgie's absence.
Because all he sees is like his toys and everything, but no Georgie.
Yeah,
so
everything is the exact same as when Georgie was there. But yeah, it's so sad, like having the ghost of someone basically.
Yeah, especially that young, with so much more life to live. But they're there and they're all kind of like, we don't want to do this, whatever, but they decide to stick together.
Because Richie goes, wow. And they were like, what? And they were like, he said he didn't even stutter once.
Mm-hmm.
And so then they were like, okay, he's serious about this. So we better fucking go in with him.
And they end up walking into the dilapidated casa. And as they're going in investigating, they're looking around. It's obviously like really battered and old. And it looks like, it's falling apart. And Richie ends
looks
up...
like they could fall through the floor
at any point,
step.
which one does.
Yeah.
And Richie ends up seeing his poster and hanging up, not on the wall, but like in like...
These
like
cobwebs.
Yeah. And it has like his missing poster essentially, like predating before he even is missing, and he's freaking out because he's like, oh my god, like look at the dates, like look, I'm gonna go missing and all this stuff. And Bill's having to calm him down because he's like, none of this is real, like you're freaking out, but none of it is real. And so they end up going more and doing more investigating through the house, and they start hearing like hellos,
please help me,
please help me, different noises throughout the house and the voice. And then that's whenever they start to get like, somehow even happens later, like they get separated even when they're right next to each other.
They start heading upstairs, and then they are basically, they see they don't see her yet, but they keep hearing the voice, and they start walking towards Richie and Billy start walking towards the door while Eddie hears something else behind him.
On the other side,
calling his name yet again and saying like, what do you want, Eddie? Kind of thing. And so Eddie turns around and is paying attention to that while they're walking down the hallway. And it just, I guess, fucks with their minds just enough to get them separated.
And so they're over there. Eddie's over here, and then like the door ends up separating them and closing off.
Because we saw Betty Ripson's body too. We saw Betty Ripson there. She was the one calling for help.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden she gets ripped away, and that's when the boys go running in there.
Yeah.
And then the door slams behind them. And that's when Eddie like comes to, and he's like, "What the hell?"
Yeah.
Basically, and starts running down the hallway, and then that's when the huge cavernous hole opens up.
And then the leopard comes up from behind him and is
time to take your pill,
freaking him out. And
he's
then
got a pill on his tongue.
And I think he just passes out, right? He basically is like, and
Well,
falls back. Yeah, all the way down through the fucking ceiling floor and then onto like a table and breaks the table. Poor
yep,
kid.
breaks the table and also breaks his arm.
Yeah, and then we have Richie and Bill in the other room, but then Richie ends up getting called into the room adjacent to that room, and then the door ends up closing between them. So we have Bill and Richie now separated, and
Richie's in this room that's honestly almost arguably more terrifying when everything was
covered
shrouded.
up.
Yeah. Because then you're like, well, what the fuck is that? And then it looks like people and stuff, but you don't know what it is. Like, that's kind of terrifying to me.
Because the sheets are covering it up, so it could be anything.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know what it is.
But what is it? It happens to be Richie's fear.
A room full of clowns.
Clowns just clowning around.
Just clowning around, having a good old time. And
Yes.
basically, they're watching him as he approaches this coffin that's in the center of the room that says found. And it's got like an arrow pointing down, and he goes up and he approaches it, and it's a little doll of him wearing the same shirt and stuff, but he's covered in maggots, just like he said. Someone, I think he said to Betty about Betty Ripson earlier, or something in the movie. He was like, "Yeah, they're probably dead and covered in maggots in a drain," and then he was like, "Sorry, Billy."
Yeah. Oh, I remember what part you're talking about.
Yeah.
And so, it's him, a little replica, and he's in a coffin, and it's basically just fucking with him because when he shuts it, fucking Pennywise pops up and starts scaring him, right?
Yeah, yeah. He pops up, hops onto the top of the coffin, and then starts like charging him. But Bill is thankfully able to save him just in time, opens the door, and they separate himself. But then they're in the room, and then they see Eddie's head pop through the mattress, and it says, "Want to play loogie?"
Georgie's head?
Or was it Georgie's?
I thought it was Georgie's head.
I thought it was Eddie because they were saying, "Want to play loogie?" Which
I think it was Georgie.
Oh, okay.
I think it was his little head, his little kid head.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But I get it because they were hawking loogies off the cliff. But I think it was Georgie. But they are, his head comes out and he's wanting to hawk loogies. And then they have this choice of like 3 different doors.
Yeah.
Which are, one's not so scary. One's...
Oh, not quite yet.
Not quite yet?
We're back with real Eddie now. Oh, well, maybe it shows the doors, but they're not going into them yet.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Because Eddie's down there in the kitchen area.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got Eddie now with his broken arm. We see that the thing is like hanging on, which looked really painful and really gross. And then this is when the twisted Pennywise comes out of the fridge, which that was a very unsettling scene for me. I didn't like how he was, all contorted and then just like unravels himself and is like, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Very creepy.
It's very creepy. And it looks pretty, it doesn't look too like CGI'd or anything. So it's like, it's still very like human like.
Yeah.
Like doesn't look so fake or anything. You know what I mean? It's just creepy.
Yeah. Looked like they actually had a contortionist in the outfit or something and they just were undoing their body. Yeah.
Studio magic. And starts to charge up on little Eddie.
And he says, "Time to float."
Eddie's obviously terrified. And this is whenever it cuts back up to Bill and Richie and they're trying to choose the door of what they need to go through. They end up opening the not so scary one and it's Betty's body. And I'm assuming it's Betty. I don't know. Could be anybody. Is it Betty? And she's like hanging up and she's like, "Have you seen my legs?"
Yeah.
Because her legs are missing.
Yeah. It was just her torso and up. And then that's what Richie was like, "Where the fuck were her legs?"
Yeah.
what the hell's going on? Yeah.
And they end up closing the door, but they're also trying to get away from this like black ooze or blood. I don't know what it is that's like coming closer towards them.
Yeah, that's like it looks like it's like magma almost, not like actual
the way it's moving,
but the fact that it's like burning. It's like an acid that's like burning through things. And this is where Richie's freaking out because they just saw Betty's body.
Yeah.
And Billy's like, this isn't real. None of this is real. Like, we just got to snap out of this, and none of this is real. And then Pennywise pauses as he was about to like eat Eddie.
Mm-hmm.
Eddie was about to die.
Yeah.
And then Billy and them get down there, and Pennywise turns around. And he's like, "Am I not real enough for you, Billy? I was real enough for Georgie." And it was like, ugh.
Yeah. Very creep vibes. And so, yeah, he's then basically starts to lunge after him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because at this point he starts to attack them, and they're all like freaking the fuck out. And
Bev comes in the nick of time.
Just to, does she stab him?
Yeah, she stabs him right through the face with one of the like spikes from the fence.
And he's like, and then he starts fighting back, and all the other kids try to help fight back. And then Ben's always getting slashed somehow on the belly because he ends up getting slashed by the thing that he ends up trying to stab. He pokes him with another thing, I think, from the fence. And then at this point, because Pennywise is hurt a little bit, he ends up running off the screen,
kind of retreating. Yeah. And Billy ends up kind of going after him. He was like, "We can't let him get away."
Yeah.
And I was
but
like,
nobody else is chasing or helping him.
Yeah. And I was like, oh.
Yeah. I was like, maybe we should check on Eddie. But Pennywise ends up going into the well anyway, so we can't do anything about it. And then they are checking on Eddie, and Eddie's arm is all fucked up, so Richie has to snap it back into place.
Yeah, which looked like it hurt.
Yeah.
And they all get out back to Eddie's house basically, and Eddie's mom is losing it.
Yeah.
She is like, "You kids are the devil, and I've heard about you, Miss Beverly.
I don't want a dirty girl putting her dirty hands on my baby."
Yeah.
Essentially.
And
bans these kids from seeing Eddie because I mean, I'm sure any mom would freak out about their kid coming home and seems like their arms are fucked up.
Yeah, I would not be pleased.
Yeah. Like, what did your friends make you do? Because obviously it's never your kid's fault. It's always someone else's fault, right?
Exactly.
But yeah, he's poor Eddie's getting in the car. He's like crying. They're all scared at this point. And then Bill was like, we gotta go back. We gotta fight this thing. But then they're all like, no, we don't.
Fuck you.
Yeah, especially Richie. Yeah.
Yeah, Richie they start throwing punches at each other because they're fighting so intensely about it. And they're like, no, like, I don't want to do this anymore. Stanley's pretty adamant too, that he was like, I want to live. It's our summer. We're supposed to be doing fun things and like playing video games and stuff like that, not out here getting ourselves killed.
Which has been Stanley's mantra like the whole movie too, is like he always kind of like, man, guys, it's summer. We're not supposed to be doing this.
We're supposed to be doing other things.
But yeah, like they're so all of that skerfuffle happens, and this is basically like the the band breaks apart, essentially part of the movie where we're like, okay, I guess everybody's gonna kind of do their own thing. We're all in our own moods. We're also all terrified.
We get this little montage of them all doing their own things and stuff, and passing of time. They're all just doing what it is they wanted to do all summer.
Did you know that dehydration is the leading cause of daytime fatigue? I was shocked to learn that even mild dehydration can cause headaches, muscle weakness, and brain fog. But luckily, there's a solution. Cure Hydration is an oral rehydration solution that contains the perfect balance of electrolytes and glucose to help your body absorb water and rehydrate quickly. The formula is made with all natural ingredients like coconut water, powder, and pink Himalayan salt, and is free from artificial flavors, sweeteners, and preservatives. Cure Hydration is vegan, gluten-free, and non-GMO, making it a great option for anyone with dietary restrictions or preferences. The packets are convenient and easy to use. Just mix with water and drink. They're perfect for on the go, travel, or anytime you need a quick and effective hydration boost. Hydration is more than just drinking water. That's what Lauren Picasso, a lifelong endurance athlete, discovered as she struggled to stay hydrated no matter how much water she drank. Lauren founded Cure, a science-backed electrolyte drink mixed to make hydrating easy for everyone. Cure believes that hydration should be simple and effective, but also clean and natural. That's why they use only the highest quality plant-based ingredients and avoid any artificial or harmful additives. They're committed to transparency and honesty. All of their ingredients are clearly listed on their website and packaging, and they're always happy to answer any questions or concerns. Ready to combat dehydration? Try Cure today and feel the difference for yourself. Use code BOO for 20% off your order.
Are you tired of the same old boring puzzles? Mix things up with Wongo puzzles. Each puzzle is a custom design with intricate patterns and whimsical shapes that will keep you engaged for hours. Plus, their eco-friendly materials and commitment to sustainability make Wongo puzzles a guilt-free way to unwind. Wongo puzzles are 100% wooden puzzles, meaning they'll last forever. Each piece is hand-drawn, so no two pieces are the same, and you'll discover some fun, whimsy pieces as you work through it. They come in a custom wooden box, which is perfect for storage and gifting. With stunning design and unique shapes, Wongo puzzles are a cut above the rest. So what are you waiting for? Go to wongopuzzles.com and pick your puzzle today. And be sure to use the promo code BOO and get 10% off of your order. This is the most fun you've had with a puzzle guaranteed or your money back. Go to Wongo, WONGO, puzzles.com and use the code BOO to get 10% off your order and get puzzling right now. Wongo.
Everybody's doing their own thing, and then we cut to, for some reason, we need to catch up with the bullies, what they're doing. And Henry Bowers is such a menace. He's gonna shoot a cat. Yeah,
and it's August now, so we've passed time and we're about to go back to school.
And his friend is just like holding the cat too, and he's like, hold it. Yeah. Thankfully the dad pops up and he's like, what are you doing, son?
Yeah. And, the friend, I couldn't tell if he looked scared because he was about to shoot a cat or if he was just because the gun's also pointed at him.
I think just because the gun's pointed at him. I don't think he cares about the cat so much.
Poor kitty. I'm so glad the kitty gets away.
Yes. And I wonder if it's the same cat from earlier. But anyways, the dad
that one was a calico. This one was a tabby.
The dad pops up and he's, getting on to Henry, and he embarrasses him in front of his friends, basically making him look like a coward because he's like, look, you guys, this is how you make a paper man crumble.
Yeah.
Which, kind of explains why Henry is the way he is, but also
he's a shithole for a father.
Yeah. Which I kind of also too, like, I was noticing a correlation through all of them is they have horrible homes.
Yeah.
Like all of them.
All of them.
Eddie, Bev. Mike his parents are dead. And by his dad who makes him kill sheep that he doesn't want to do. Or grandpa.
Brother's dead.
Billy's brother's dead. And also his dad was insensitive. And also like the fact that also I think
mom's almost non-existent.
Exactly. Richie and Bill's family, because they're also so much like basically ignorant and ignoring their children that like it's also a form of negligence in a way. They're not getting any love. And then
Stanley's got the bad
the rabbi dad who's too harsh on him.
Yeah.
And then we have Ben, who's for some reason moving states every other time, because he mentioned, this out of all the places I've been,
he's moved.
Yeah. So who knows? I feel like that also plays into it, and who Pennywise picks on as well is probably kids from
on more fears and stuff like the feeds on the dark energy.
Yeah. But after that, we have catching up with Eddie. He needs to get refills on his pills and all that, and he ends up talking to Greta at the pharmacy, and that's whenever he finds out that he's basically taking placebos.
Yeah.
Because his pills aren't really doing anything for him. And at that point, we do have
we flash back to Henry. I
think, Henry,
right?
Because he's at his house and he's with his little friends by his card. He starts to hear a voice, and he sees
this red balloon on his mailbox.
And it's a gift from Pennywise, and it's a knife, and it kind of takes over him.
I think it's his knife that he lost earlier too.
For sure.
Yeah.
And he gets taken over, possessed essentially, and he walks into the house. The TV is like a kid's program, but it's like basically telling him to kill his dad.
Yeah. Kill him.
And he does in the most like docile way ever. Just like puts the knife on him and injects it into his body. And then the TV is telling him to kill them all, and it's Pennywise, and he's like, kill them all.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Which you can assume is the kids.
The kiddos. Yeah.
Yep.
And so we're catching back up with Beverly and
her creep father.
Yeah, and they end up getting into a scarfuffle because he wants to touch her no-no squares and be gross and do things that he shouldn't do. And so she finally builds up the courage to like fight back with him. And they get into it, and it's so much so that like it's like throughout the whole house until they end up into the
runs and hides in the bathroom.
But he breaks in, and she's able to beat him with the
toilet lid cover.
Oh yeah, that's the word
just
for it.
Smacks it on his head.
Bunch of ceramic, and I mean knocks him out so much where he's bleeding.
Yeah.
And so he's on the floor. He's knocked out. She runs out.
But then Pennywise gets her before she can run out.
Exactly.
He just pops up, and then it's like
snatched. And at this point, Bill is for some reason
he's going over to Beverly's house. Yeah, I guess just to like see if she would come help him or something, or like say like, I haven't seen you all summer, just checking in on her or something. And
just happened to show up at the right time.
Waltzes into the house
and sees that it's like a mess and that something happened.
Yeah, finds her dad on the bathroom floor bleeding, and he goes to Beverly's room, and it says, "You die if you try," written on the wall in blood.
Very It style. And that's whenever we have him calling up, or no, not calling up. He goes to the arcade and he's trying to talk to Rich, and he's telling him like It got Beverly. So
Nightmare on Elm Street 5 was playing at the movies.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, cute. A little Easter egg, and
Speaking of which, I got you a little pin from. I went to this horror movie shop.
Cool.
Like it was like all horror themed. It was really cool. It's in Bedford, Texas.
Shout out.
And I told the guy about our podcast.
That's cute.
He followed us on Instagram, so
fun.
Who knows if he'll listen.
Shout out to you in Bedford, brah.
Yeah, and I got you this little pin though that I need to give to you still, but it's Freddy and it says "Stay woke."
Ooh, cute.
Isn't that cute?
Yes, we love us a little Freddy Krueger. And so he ends up getting Richie. They end up going to get Eddie, or they call Eddie up, and then Eddie's like, okay, I'll go with you. And then Eddie has to confront his mom, and he's like, you're giving me not gazebos.
Yeah, these pills are gazebos.
Yeah, and he confronts her, and he's like, you can't control me, like you're lying to me. I need to leave. I'm gonna go hang out with my friends, the ones that you're trying to keep me from.
Because they're the ones that actually care about me, kind of stuff. And I was like, good job, Eddie, standing up to your mom. But he still says sorry on his way out.
Yeah,
it's like, okay.
And so they all end up meeting up at the house to help, and they end up going into the house and trying to go down the well.
And as they're going into the house, we see that Henry's watching them from the car outside too.
That's right, because he's about to pop up pretty soon. They end up getting some rope. They end up getting themselves lured, pulleyed. What's the word? I don't know.
Yeah, they're like lever pulley kind of
getting down there. They are getting themselves down there.
Yeah, they're putting that rope down. Like they're gonna rappel.
Yeah, there you go. And so like you're climbing a rock mountain, and so they're going down, and they end up going to like, because they don't go to the bottom of it because it's obviously like so fucking long. They end up in like a tunnel,
little
thing.
Offshoot. Yeah.
And they're all going down there, but at the same time,
Bev wakes up in the well.
And she ends up stumbling, or she's in Pennywise's lair,
we see this little door opened with a warm glow behind it. And I was like, oh, Pennywise has a little bedroom.
It does.
How cute.
Just a little boudoir. And she sees that, or we see that there's like all these like old cars and trash and old belongings to, I guess, all the people of Derry that Pennywise has consumed, making like a mountain of shit.
Monuments.
Yeah, and we see that all of the people and children that have been missing are suspended in the air, kind of floating
pieces of them too. It's not even whole
people. Yeah. And Bev like is freaked out, obviously, so she's trying to leave. But as she's trying to get out, we see the little Jack in the Box start going off, and it's talking about Pennywise, the dancing clown, and it goes off, and then the door opens with the glow behind it, and it's Pennywise, and he is in full
dancing mode,
TikTok mode. Yes,
yeah,
he is doing one for the gram. He is dancing, and it's very funny because we've all seen it in the memes where he's like doing his little Pennywise jig.
Yeah,
and I think it's so funny because like it's so not menacing at all.
No, he's just like dink dink dink
literally.
dink.
And she screams at him that she's not afraid of him whenever he comes closer to her and picks her up as she's trying to run away.
And he says, "You will be."
Yeah, as he opens up and unhinges his jaws, and then we get to see all those teeth and the deadlights in the center of its mouth. And she kind of goes into a catatonic state.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's so much stuff going on. Henry Bowers shows up as Mike is helping the kids lure down into the well, and he stabs Mike in the back.
Yep.
With his blade, and then
is pulling up the rope too.
Yeah, takes it away so that way the kids would be stuck down there. And then a fight ends up happening between Mike and Henry, where Henry almost kills Mike with that little gun.
The sheep gun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's holding the gun to his head, and Mike narrowly avoids it.
Yeah. Thankfully, he's able to push him.
Yeah, pushes him, and he pushes Henry down the well, and we just see his little body falling down like a rag doll.
Bam, 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 from side to side. Pretty. He's fucking dead.
And then we have another moment where one of the group members gets lured off because while all that's happening, Stanley hears Beverly's name, or Beverly. He hears Beverly's voice.
A girl voice.
Yeah, and he thinks it's Beverly. So he's like, Beverly? And he kind of
follows
goes off.
it.
And all of a sudden, he's in a completely different room.
Yeah.
Like, he's in a completely different place than all of them. And that creepy lady shows back up again.
Crooked-faced lady. And she starts attacking him. But that's off screen because then we are back with the boys and they're like, wait, where's Stan? But then as they go and try to find him, they do see him and they got the flashlight on him and she is just sucking on his face.
Yep.
Yeah, poor thing. They're able to scare her away, which then they see that it's actually Pennywise. But they get Stan to come to and he's like screaming at them. It's like, you're not my friends, y'all left me, even though they didn't. It's just the way Pennywise works.
Yeah. He made it like a maze. But then Bill sees little Georgie and he decides to run off, even though we know that we're supposed to stick together.
We are. And he does not, and even Eddie's like, Bill, where are you going? But he ends up finding Pennywise's lair and he sees Bev suspended as he's trying to follow Georgie, but he sees Bev suspended. He can't get her down though, and he sees Georgie again, so he's like, you know what, Bev, I'm gonna come back for you.
I'll be right back.
But
we got more pressing matters
here. And then the boys are like trying to look for Bill and then Bev at the same time. They're like, what do we do? And then they're trying to get through this maze of tunnels, and they end up coming across this gray water, and then there's like all these dead heads that start popping up and bodies and freaking them out. And then they're able to get away from there, and that's when they stumble upon Bev's body suspended. And they're like, wait, how is she up there like that? And then they're like, wait a minute, there's all these other kids up here like this. All the missing kids.
Everyone's up there. And then they help get her down by like Ben crawling on someone's shoulders or something. And they get her down, and they're trying to wake her up.
Ben is freaking out. Ben is like, why is she like this? The love of my life.
Yeah, Ben is not having it.
Yeah.
And then so much to the point that he thinks up of True Love's first kiss.
Literally.
And he gives her one big old smackaroonie.
And by golly, I tell you what, it worked.
It worked. She came to, and she was like, January embers. And he said, my heart burns here too.
Very beautiful. It's a very poetic moment.
Yeah.
Because she does come to, and then at this point,
speaking of poetic moments, we're getting one with Billy and Georgie.
Yep, because
all the while
Georgie is talking to Bill and Bill's talking to him, and he's
like, why'd you take so long to come find me, Billy?
And Bill's like, trust me, I've been looking for you this whole time. Like, I've been wanting to find you. Like, I love you. I'm so sorry that it's, because Bill's essentially thinks it's like it's his fault because like I let you go out to go play with the boat and all this stuff.
I didn't go with you.
Yeah. And it's a very good moment for Bill because he's able to kind of put some closure to. It's funny because he's kind of using Pennywise's like scare tactics to hit an advantage for him to find this closure within himself to be like, I'm sorry and I love you. I will always love you, but you're not real. And
you're dead.
Boom.
And he shoots him with the little gun.
Yeah.
And I love how Georgie's body starts turning in from Georgie to Pennywise. He's like convulsing on the floor, and then his little legs go like bloop.
Yeah.
Bloop.
Pop out.
And he's like, extending.
Yeah.
It was a really cool scene. I liked that.
Yeah. And so it was Pennywise the whole time, and obviously, surprise, there, comes out and he starts chasing Bill. And then that's whenever we get to the rest of the gang. And then he starts fighting all the kids.
Yep. They're all attacking Pennywise. They're all just basically taking a whack at him. But then all of a sudden he gets Billy and he barters with him. He's like, basically, all of you can go if you just let me have this one kid.
Yeah.
Like, you can all go on to live your life and just give me Billy. And Billy basically was like,
go, like, it's my fault y'all are here. Just leave me. I get it. Like, and he's really is taking one for the team. You can tell he really cares about his friends. He's like, y'all are going to die if y'all don't leave. It. Yeah, like, just leave.
And then Richie was like, you punched me in the face. You made me walk through shitty water. You brought me to a crackhead house. And now I have to kill this fucking clown.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, Richie.
Mic drop.
He's coming in clutch.
And so they all tag team and they start to fight Pennywise. And Pennywise is getting the shit kicked out of him by these kids.
He is.
Because
they're all ganged up on him.
They're standing up to their fears because he's literally pulling out the stops. He's pulling out everybody's fear.
Preying on all of their fears.
They're all, not backing down. And so at this point, because the fear is what he feeds off of, he is becoming weaker and weaker as they are standing up more and more to him. Or it, sorry. I think, it's non-binary. And so no, I'm just kidding. The kids, finally are kind of having the upper hand. And
now you're the one who's afraid. Mm-hmm. And it was like, oh.
Yeah, and it is not having a good time with this and is like backing up away from them, ends up like kind of hanging on for dear life in the well, and Bill is like just about to put like a final blow, but Pennywise is just like kind of withering away, very Voldemort style, and then it's just like fear, and goes down the drops down the well, and then all the kids start floating down, which also I didn't understand if like dead bodies. Just dead bodies, right? Like, because they're not alive?
Yeah.
Or, I don't know.
Pretty sure most of them are dead.
Just dead.
So what just are they? A bunch of corpses.
Yeah. Are they going to, I don't know. Okay. But,
I guess his power's not there to
suspend them. Yeah. And Bill finds Georgie's coat, and it's like a little soft, touching moment because he's crying, and all his friends are like there to hug him and hold him in this moment. Yeah. Of sadness, because he finally has like come to the closure of like, Georgie is dead. Yeah.
Exactly.
Because he was afraid. He was terrified of Pennywise, and so he couldn't kill Bev. We find out because Bev wasn't afraid.
Yeah.
So so that sucks. Georgie's dead. And then after this, it's all of this
now.
September. We are catching up with the gang as Miss Beverly is trying to explain what she saw and how she felt whenever she was, whatever that state of catatonic state it was, and she was just saying
basically
how
setting the scene for the second movie.
Yeah, she basically had like a vision of the future, almost, of like how she saw them as adults, and she just remembers that they were all fucking scared, and she'll never forget that.
Yeah. And then this is where they make the pact to say, swear if it ever comes back, we'll come back too. And they make a blood pact, which
why couldn't they
little
just
Eddie was right.
Spit
he
on
was
it.
like, there's an
AIDS epidemic
happening. We shouldn't
be doing that.
I'm surprised that he did.
Yeah.
I mean, even though he found out his pills were gazebos.
Yeah. But blood oath nonetheless. So we will have a part 2. And
I love the little lover on Eddie's cast, how he changed it.
Instead of loser.
Yeah.
And we have Bev and Bill.
Yeah, everyone left one by one. I love how Stanley was like, I gotta go. I hate you.
Literally. He was like, I'm leaving. I'll see y'all later.
I hate you, motherfuckers.
They all leave one by one, and then finally it just leaves Bev and Bill together, and they're talking about how she's going to be living with her aunt. She's moving to Portland. She's going to be gone probably for forever because she doesn't ever want to come back here. I don't blame her.
Yeah.
And so, she's basically trying to make a move a little bit, and he's not responding.
Yeah, because then she was like, I never felt like a loser when I was with all of you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's not responding. So she gets up and she walks off. But then all of a sudden Bill's like, wait, never mind. Hold up. Runs after her and
gives her a big old kiss-a-rooney.
Yep. And then she kisses him right back.
Yeah.
And then getting her bloody hand all over his face though.
Yup.
And I was like, get get that. I would have been like,
well, they're
get
still
that off
covered.
of my face.
I think they've had gray water on them, so they're probably like, this ain't nothing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that's
the
it.
end.
Chapter 1, we get another little kind of title card that says it, and it says chapter 1, so you know there's going to be a second one, which there obviously is. We know that now.
Yes.
But yeah, that was
chapter
it.
1. I want to get into the ratings.
Yes.
Yeah. So I would definitely give this a 4.5.
4.5.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's pretty good. I thought it had some pretty good, storytelling. Obviously it's based off the book. We're kind of familiar with the story, but I like the way how they told it. It had a big budget, so they were able to do a lot of stuff. Bill Skarsgård did such a great job at portraying Pennywise, because even living up to the hype and the cult classic of the original and Tim Curry's Pennywise, I feel like it had a lot to live up to. And the kids really honestly sold the movie to me. Like they were the heart and the soul of the film.
Yeah.
Because you were really tied to like these kids making it and to them defeating and conquering their fears and Pennywise. And I thought that even though it was a pretty long movie, it didn't necessarily feel long because I was super well paced. I was engaged.
It's action-packed.
I was engaged the entire time.
There's something happening.
It's true.
At any given moment.
They did a really good job of like giving us scare and then information and then scare and then information and then scare and then action and scare and information action. Like there was always something, because if you weren't falling into like an action time or being scared, you were learning something that was developing the plot to like the next scare.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It did a really good job of driving the narrative throughout the entire film. Yeah.
Fairly Odd Parents. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry.
What?
I just felt like saying that. Fairly Odd Parents.
Oh. I was like, what? I love it. Do you want some fun facts?
Sure.
Pennywise has only 4 minutes of dialogue in the entire film.
I believe it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sophia Lillis says that she had to stand on a box in some scenes, as at only 5 feet tall. She's the shortest one in the cast.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize she was that short.
I didn't either. Jack Dylan Grazer, who
there
plays
were children.
Yeah. Who plays Eddie, was the first one out of all the kids to work with Skarsgård. During their scene, Grazer would cry and gag while Skarsgård was right in his face, yelling and drooling. Skarsgård was genuinely concerned for Grazer, and after the scene ended, asked him if he was okay. Which, can you imagine, like, being asked if you're okay from Pennywise?
Yeah. You could. Yeah, and I was got the makeup on. Yeah, like you were just
like, no, get out of my face,
terrorizing me. You can't ask me if I'm good.
Yeah,
yeah.
But Grazer looked right at him and said, "Love what you're doing with the character." Yeah. And Skarsgård was left confused and impressed at Grazer's attitude, calling the child actors little professionals.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yes. Love all of that.
Some of the dialogue was improvised by the actors. Much of the Richie/Eddie banter was improv.
Cool.
Almost all of that. So
I can feel that. Mm-hmm.
And Jackson Robert Scott, who played Georgie, is the youngest in the movie, and he stated that he wasn't as scared of Pennywise as he thought he would be. He said he actually had a fun time doing his scenes, and that Bill Skarsgård was always joking around. That's
funny. That's cute. Yeah, some behind the scenes stuff was very much like Bill was always in the suit and stuff and whatever, but like would not be in character.
Yeah.
So it'd just be like, what's up, guys? Yeah. But they
carrots.
But would very easily be able to like drop into that like creepy vibe.
Like at the drop of a hat.
Mm-hmm. Could go into it. And look at the beginning where he's talking to Georgie, and if you notice, like his eye does this like thing where like one's kind of going this way and one's going that way, and he does that like it's not CGI, like he's just able to do that with his eye.
Oh, creepy.
Yeah.
Love it.
What's your thoughts? What's your boo rating? Sorry.
I think I would have to also give this a 4.5. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed this film. It like I said, it's very action packed. It keeps you engaged from start to finish, even though it is 2 hours long. I love the soundtrack. I think the soundtrack throughout really does a fantastic job of driving all the plot points and everything like that throughout the entire film. And then even using as like an icebreaker, like we said, with the New Kids on the Block kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So much of it is I feel like whenever you don't notice one in a film, that's when it's done its job, really. Or and then there were moments where like the little piano medleys and stuff would come in that it was really haunting and beautiful. And I think it did a great job. The kids did make this film 100%. They were hilarious and they really acted for their little lives.
Yeah.
They did a great job.
Like emotionally, when the times called for it to be like, you know, like Bill crying or feeling grieving and stuff like that, or even Bev going through what she was going through with her dad, and then like the light moments when they're all playing around or when they're just joking around with each other.
Yeah.
They really are able to give a sense of lightness to this really heavy, dark shit that's happening. Literally children getting purged, you know, by this evil entity.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool that they're able to do that.
Yeah, they did a great job of that. And I loved all the scares. There wasn't anything in here that really, I mean, there were some things that I was like, okay, yeah, that was a little comical. But overall, I thought everything was done really well with the CGI and stuff like that, or practical effects. And it all looked really convincing. And Pennywise's face scares the crap out of me. This one is more terrifying to me than
Tim Curry's.
Yeah. Just something about his like really bulbous forehead and stuff too. Like it's like, ugh. But yeah, I think this one had a lot of good scares in it that legitimately made me, like I said, I went up into my room and my clowns were kind of scaring me.
They were freaking you out.
So I was like, ugh, I don't really want to. The bad downside of living alone is whenever you have to be at home after watching the scary movie. And then you're like, oh,
nobody here to protect me.
Yep, it's a little unsettling.
You have the kitties.
Yeah, I do have the kitties. They would let me know if something was going wrong.
Yeah.
There's been times where they'll like stop and like freeze and look out my bedroom door into the darkness. And I'm like, what the fuck do you see with your little kitty eyes?
Little hair going up off their back.
Yeah, and I'm like, nope.
Doesn't sound like houses are haunted. Sounds like you're haunted, Caitlin.
Yeah, maybe.
The ghosts are following you around.
Artifacts. Yeah.
Lord. But on that note, we're in the lovely Rogue Media Network studio.
That's right. They always take great care of us.
Yes, they do.
And you can listen to us or any of the other amazing podcasts on this network all in one central place, and that is at
RogueMediaNetwork.com.
That's right. And sorry, that was funny how you said it.
.com.
.com.
Yeah.
But you can also listen to us on a slew of podcasting platforms, the biggest two being
Spotify
and also Apple. But wherever you do listen, don't forget to
rate, review, like, and subscribe.
That's right, because that's the only way we can get ahead in this world. And then also tell your friends, word of mouth. Tell your cats. See if they'll do nothing, just like the kitties did in this film.
Yes.
To make them listen.
And also, if you're still listening all this way through, make sure to check out those other episodes that we mentioned. Yeah, 2 of them together right now would equal this one. So
exactly. Yeah. This is a long one.
Thanks for sticking
it's a long
through.
Movie.
Yeah.
But you can also reach out to us. Let us know your thoughts on it or in it too, if you want to get in
ahead
on that one.
Yeah.
You can do so on our one social media platform, which is Instagram, and that is at
BooBaes Podcast, and that's at BOOBAES, because we're your BooBaes, not your BooBabes.
That's right. And we'll be covering it too next time. So buckle up for another long one, because it's a 2 hour and 49-minute movie.
Yeah.
It's basically Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
So
we'll figure it out.
Get ready. It's going to be fun. But yeah, until next time, you guys.
Until next time. Bye, guys.
Bye, babes.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.